What is up, everyone? I have some stories for you guys. Before we start off with the stream, I'm live on YouTube, guys. So you guys know that's where I'm gonna be telling the story. And so this would be basically the start of season 3 and Best Driver. I told you guys the rest of the story, so the second half of season 2. And it being basically like a requiem or you know all sort of the sorts. Right? Is that the right word? Yes. And so, and I refer to, as in, just life. It really just changed for me, like, a lot. So, that was the second half. So moving on to season 3, like I said, we made the progress. We worked on ourselves and stayed strong, stayed true. And so, let's see, the camera's still on, so my description would be new growth, fun times, right? And I've been like listening to a lot of like new music. I listen to some of the same artists, some of the like big hits, right? That everybody might know, right? But then sometimes you like to dive a little deeper, take a little dive, and listen to something you haven't listened to before. And so that's what we did. It was new growth, lots of fun. And we've been receiving lots of challenges, like I said, from Hondas and Mazdas recently, actually. So I could tell you guys a lot about, like, these are all 2020X, Mazda 3s, CX 5s, my bad. Yeah, CX 5s and 9s. That would be the right car. And then, even had encounters with, like, all-wheel drive Honda Pilots and, Civic Sports, couple Type R's here and there. Still undefeated. Nonetheless, guys, it always just comes down to really, like, who knows, man. It just comes down. It comes pretty close most of the time. It's never that far off. And so, let's see, those ones, there wasn't really any major battles, right? It's all in good faith, right? Some unofficial challenges. I don't start them, I just finish them. And yeah, and I think recently we've only just had some actual more official, like, races where it just got really, it really just became a real battle, like head on, going side to side, side by side, I mean. And so I'm not really telling the story very well so far, but that's the basics of it. Let's see, let's start. Okay. And so, yeah, let's see. Uh, the Mazda 3s and the CX-9, I've definitely taken them down on the uphills and downhill section, right? And then there's this one time where this wasn't official. I was on a practice run, and like I said, I wasn't gonna let anyone mess up the run. And so this car decided, to start getting in the way. He sped up, he basically tried to run away, and so it became a chase. But I wasn't necessarily chasing him. I just knew I had to pass him if I was gonna have any chance of practicing my run at all. You know, this guy's just gonna be stuck in front of me the whole time, and so I had to make my moves, guys. And he noticed, you know, as soon as we got by the first the first corner, you know, he takes it with decent speed, but you know, obviously he slowed down. And I take it, and I'm normal speeds as well, but I take it better. And we come down, and and you know, I get the gain right there, right? So instead of losing ground, I gain lots of ground from that. And we're right on him, and we pretty much get on his tail at that point. And he tries to block the inside line. He knew I was gonna. I faked him out by making him think that I would go on the inside, and he tried to block it. And in that moment, I faked him out, and I initiated like a drift, basically, guys. And I blocked him from the outside, and I forced him to break on the inside, and then I just floored it, and I took him out, and that was that. That one was unofficial, though. I wouldn't really call that one anything, guys. It was just like I said, on a practice run. And you know, you got people. Like I said, he didn't want to get past, so he decided to try to run. That's just how it goes. Mav saying, please shut up, Mav. It's alright, bro. It's alright. Your arm and leg will heal soon enough, bro. And so that was like one of them newer Elantras, though. That was like probably 20. That had to have been like a 2018. And so let's just imagine it, put it side by side. This is them, this is me. And, you know, they come around the turn and I come around the turn, but I gain my ground on them. And the pressure starts building. And I'm right behind them. And then I go like this and they try to block it, but I fake them out and then I start and I drift on the outside like that while blocking them on the inside. And then boom, I mean, they couldn't do anything. What were they gonna do? I was blocking the whole road with the car right there, going fully sideways. And then boom, I just took off, and it was gone just like that. Then, you know, we pull up to the stop sign. You know, he pulls up all hectic because of all the pressure, but you know, I kept my cool. You know, I just pretended like nothing happened, because I mean, really nothing happened. I was on a practice run, guys. I just had to get through it, man. Otherwise, like I said, I just would have been getting held back. But that was just one of the more better ones, I would say, because I literally blocked him like that, guys. Like it is straight out of the textbook. And so a couple other stories. These ones are actually pretty good. I forgot what had ended up happening, but let's see, how did it come down? This was literally like a couple of days ago, yesterday. But I had forgot. Like I think I was just coming off of a stop and and like it's just like it was a new gen Acura, man. These one of them new ones, man. And I still actually have to look that up right now to tell you guys which one it was. Um Okay, there we go. So it was either one of these. It was like, it was, hold on. Let me see images. Give me a better. Yep, that's what it was. It's an Acura MDX Type S all-wheel drive. It was either that one or something else, something similar to it. And so, like, this guy starts trying to have a whole braking contest with me, guys. Like, you don't ever notice the braking contest starts like you get challenged by somebody until they start trying to outbrake you. And I'm like, and that's what I'm getting at by unofficial challenges. Like I said, I just be driving out there normally, and some guy just has to test his his braking against And I don't know, man. I'm not one to back down from a challenge like that. So I usually let them go on ahead, and I say, all right, show me what you got. And so this guy, and I'm not gonna lie, this one was probably the closest one. This guy almost had me. Like literally, I the best driver. No, I'm just kidding. It would have been unofficial, but that would have been an L because this guy actually hit the limit really, really good. Like he literally almost stopped. He stopped perfectly on the line, but as soon as he saw me, like pull up right next to him, and I was about to be on the line too, but my nose was gonna be sticking out further. He panicked and he let go. He passed the line. Literally, we were side by side. My nose was sticking out barely forward. I was about to actually almost DQ myself because he was so much on the line that he hit it that perfectly. I was like, ah, crap, I'm done for. But just out of luck, man, this guy DQs himself out of panic. And, it was crazy because I was like, wow. And I signaled my win. And he stopped after that. It was honestly, it's an unofficial thing, but they take a real official L. So I don't know what year it was. It looked pretty new though. It didn't look like no 2022, man. It definitely looks like one of these 2024s right here. It wasn't. It was definitely not no 2022, man. It was definitely a newer one. And yeah, that's what happened on that one, man. That one was crazy. And another one ended up happening when it literally almost in the same spot but going the other way. It's hold on, I gotta look this one up just to make sure which one it is. Is it the Forerunner or the it wasn't a Tacoma. I think it was the Forerunner. But it was a TRD Racing Pro. Let me make sure I get the right one. Yeah, it was a Forerunner. Okay, that's the exact one. Yep. And so this is like, like I said, I make my turn, and this guy, like I said, I can already sense it. It's like I have like some spider senses for this type of stuff, man. And And like I said, me and this guy, I'm like, all right, let's settle this, old man. And I'm like, we start getting the side by side. I let him get ahead of me. I'm like, all right, let's go. And I let him get ahead a little bit just to see where he's gonna break at. Oh my goodness. Almost made it to Friday. 4 hours left. Nice. And so I let him go ahead so I can catch him way beyond the limit of his forerunner. Because knowing the limit of that car compared to the limit of mine, easy pickings, man. And so boom, I catch him way at he hits his limit, and then boom, I literally, you literally see me zoom past him, past his limit, and I hit my brake perfectly, right? And we're side by side, and then he decides to re-engage. So it's a DQ if you re-engage your transmission, bro. That's another rule. Like, if you re-engage your transmission, what's the point? It's like you didn't even stop, bro. You're not coming to a stop. You're literally going again. It's not like, bro. Like, if you're at a stop and you re-engage the transmission to get a little bit further just to inch one more, like, no. Sorry, buddy. You lose. And so boom, as soon as I get past his limit and I'm up at almost like the hood of the car almost, and boom boom, and at the limit, and he steps on it even harder because his brakes, because like I said, he tried to, he was already at his limit. He tried to let go and go back in, back out of that, but there's no way out. All that inertia's forward already. It's too late. And so easy pickings right there, and I told him, I said, get good, bro. I told him. And after that, bro, he just drove off away slowly. Didn't try to chase me, didn't do nothing, bro. Just went on about, bro gave up. Like I said, guys, it's like that, bro. It's a real L, guys. Don't go out there doing stuff like that, and get handed an L. It's gonna be there forever, It's the facts. Hi, yo, what's up, Bob? And so that's one of them. Now let me tell you guys another one. This is another one, guys. Like, man, this guy started trying to chase me down, bro. Like, I was heading to the spot to the mountains where I go help out the community, guys, right? And this guy it was a Lexus, bro. It was a Lexus SUV. I'll tell you guys which one it is. Is it this one? Yeah. It was like some Lexus RX 350 or something, RX 400, man. It was one of them SUVs. Those ain't bad. They're not. Like I said, this guy tried to chase me down, and I caught him. He couldn't catch me at the limit or anything. And he braked. He was behind half a hood. And then, he starts trying to run away, so I chase him down. I go for the chase right here, and I said, let's settle this for real, man. I'll give you a fair shot. And so I chase this guy down, boom, boom, and it was too easy. Like I said, it was too easy, man. I roll down my windows, let him know GG's, get good, and then boom, it's over. This guy's, like I said, slowed down, back to normal driving. It is for that guy. Back to driving school for that guy. And like I said, man, no, I don't know why they do it. I just don't know why they do it. That one was a unofficial one, though. I have a few more guys. They get better. It gets better. I'm telling you. This and it's crazy how this all happens in one night when I'm just trying to help the community. You guys wouldn't believe it. And so, where did I leave off at? Okay, right. This is when I told you guys I was on my way to help the community. And so then I'm going again, and this is a different section where this is towards where it would start the the regular section, the forward section of the of the course. But this is before that. This is before, like, while we're on like the back roads, basically. We're on the back roads, and man, I just remember like, okay, there's like an intersection, guys, and I don't know what kind of car it is, guys, right? I'm just driving normally. I make my turn, and maybe it's just the way that my car sounds or something, or like, the way it sounds, or the way it looks. Who knows what it is, right? Maybe the aura. But this guy started trying to chase me down. And as soon as I noticed that this guy was trying to go for like an overtake or something like that, right? I wasn't gonna have any of it. I said no. I said, let me show this guy what it's about. And we started going at it. Seriously, this guy, as soon as I hit the gas, he hit the gas, and we went boom. We were side by side a little bit, and I didn't know what kind of car it was. And and like we're side by side. I didn't really pay attention. And then boom, and I go for like an even bigger play. I step on it harder, guys. I don't know how to explain that. I just gas it harder. Instead of going like towards this little limit that I have on myself, I break out of it. I bring it up to about like, let's say around like 3K. And I'm putting the power down. And boom, and I pretty much just leave this guy in the dust because there's this one spot where the road gets really sketchy. And it's either you know it or you don't. And it's coming towards a light. It dips like crazy. I hit my lights and I do the whole thing without the lights on, because I know where the lines are. And that confused the guy. He literally let off the gas when that happened. As soon as I killed the lights and I hit my line, without stepping on the brakes or anything, he let off, and I just gained so much ground off of that. I gained hundreds to maybe 1,000 feet right there. And so, no, I gained hundreds of feet right there, not 1,000 feet, 100, like on him. And then pretty much, I make my turn and I signal my victory. And and little did I know that, I was like, all right, let's see what kind of car this was after I signal my win and I'm already at the stop. And it takes this guy about like maybe 4 to 5, maybe 6 seconds to pass me already, after, picking his speed back up. And it was a BMW Z4, guys. I think it was a Z4 or a Z3. It was a Z4. Yep. It was one of the older model ones. This is probably like a '04 or '05 Z4. And I took him. I mean, sure, maybe he didn't have the power or whatever, but hey, man, it's not about that. And that was it for them. I think they had more fun than that. It wasn't. I don't think they really took the loss that harshly. They went on. I think they really saw that I laid it down. They're like, damn. They're like, who was that? They're like, that guy just took us, man. They're like, we could not keep up with that guy. You know. That was the vibe they were giving, but they're like, man, that was good. And it's crazy how the night gets crazier after that. I thought that would be the highlight of the night, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't because as soon as I was on my way back from helping the community, and I decide I'm gonna go hit the course, and I make the turn smoothly, and I'm going normally, I'm like, all right, let's have a normal run, a safe run, be careful, don't even like push it, don't do anything, just drive normally, bro, like just drive the whole thing normally. And I don't ever, like I said, guys, that's what I go into, when I go do it, that's all I think about is just like driving normally, trying to. And so boom, boom, I do the thing, and then I look in my mirror behind me, and then let's say I'm going forward, and let's say this is the other car, and I don't know what car it is. And so just like imagine, I'm going up and this guy goes boom, but there's major speed bumps, like vary the way it varies, it doesn't, you can't speed through it. It's a minimum of like 5 to 10 mph speed bump, bro, or else it doesn't matter how big your car is, it's taking a hit on the suspension. That's why you gotta do it smoothly. But this guy, boom, boom, you see him, he takes it harshly and he starts speeding up, trying to catch up to me as I'm already at the stop. And I turn, and then this guy cuts the stop sign. I'm watching him from while I'm going. And so and so let's see, where was I? So boom, I mean that would have been an auto DQ, but you know what? I was just gonna let it slide. So I start go. I'm still keeping up normally, and I see this guy trying to pick up speed, and he starts trying to tell me now, right? And so I let him catch up, and I let him pace me. We're about like 2 car pace, right? And then I'm like, okay, now this is where it gets serious, because I not just by looking at the headlights, you could tell this is a newer generation car, and this is where I had to think and be careful, guys. So I said, dang, I have to make my move like soon, because if I don't start dusting this guy now, he's gonna try to start gaining on me. And so boom, there's this little spot on the course where the ground isn't level, and that's where I decided to make my move. And so as soon as that spot right before it came, I just boom, I hooked it and we started going. And then as soon as I did that, like maybe like a second or two later, because I caught the guy off guard, it was literally perfect timing, like a perfect, execution. He starts trying to chase me down. Like I said, I knew it. I'm telling you, it wasn't just like like it wasn't just like, oh, I was just thinking it or imagining it. No, this guy started trying to chase me down. And so I said, all right, let's have at it then. We hit these stops, and then we're going, and I started losing him, bro. After I did that, I started losing him. And I started going because I was like, all right, man, this guy's car could be fast. So if I don't start putting it down. He's gonna keep up. We pass by some people. The people see us going by. It's a downhill section. You see me leaving him behind. Two cars turns into four, four to six, and then boom, boom, it's going. And then at that point, I'm like, I already had pretty much won because he was out of sight at that point after he tried chasing me down. And so I was already there. We get to the top, and this is pretty much the climax, the apex of the hill, of the mountain. And we're there. That's where we made the best driver image, and we wait, and it was probably a good maybe 15, almost 30 seconds, guys, like that I was, and I slowed down too once because, it started getting residential. So I wasn't gonna start doing all that, start doing too much. And and I signal my win because I see him start coming down. Like, you see him still trying to like speed up and figure out where I'm at. And I'm already signaling my win. And it was over already, guys. Like, it was over. But I pull over a little bit and I let him go because I said, all right, let's go for real. And so I let him go, and then I start following behind, and he starts trying to run away, like I said, guys, but as soon as I like go past his limit and we're side by side like that, and my car is in front, and then I hit an overtake on him, this guy just gets all mad, and he started honking his horn at me, and I was like, oh, this guy. I was like, he could dish it, but he can't take it, And and let me tell you guys, when I found out what kind of car it was, that we beat, guys, like it was something else, man. It was something else. Like it almost is like as good as when we beat that Roush. You guys have no idea. And so it was one of the crazy stories, guys. It was and let me tell you guys what car it was. It was a here we go. Yep, it was this one, guys. It was and I can't really specify the year, but it was for sure a 2020X Mercedes-Benz AMG GT. I don't know if it was like the S or whatever, or the black, but it was debadged actually, so it could have even been a Brabus. And I took him out, literally, bro. Like, and he gave up after that, bro. It was done. Easy pickings, bro. Never to be seen again. He was actually looking for me. Like, once I got to the bottom, guys, this guy like passed around me a few times. Like, this guy was genuinely looking for me, bro. Like, after the fact. It was pretty crazy, guys, to take down something like that. And so, the overtake was clean, and I hit probably I had my best time, I think, yesterday. Like, man, there's this one section where it's just like a really wide, it's like it's just a bend. It's not a corner, it's not a hairpin, it's nothing, it's a bend. It's just a almost straight road, but it bends. And I just remember after getting away from that guy, I was just going at it. And I just remember I just felt so good. I was like, and I just hit the brakes, and then next thing you know, The car is just like all four wheels are just sliding on the ground. And I'm just holding the wheel perfectly in my hands, and I'm like, yeah. And, just the sound of it was crazy. And it just shook the whole mountain. And we get to that one turn where it comes to where I could do the gutter trick. And I drift into the gutter, and and we're gone. And it was just one of the craziest battles we've ever been in, guys. Like, imagine, guys, and that car, look, it says right here, a 4.0 liter V8 bi-turbo engine. Guys, this guy was trying to chase me down. Think about it, guys. And I took him. So, not only once, but twice. So, two to make it true. And that was the craziest, like, night ever, guys. After that, I like literally, and I can't even explain this, guys. Like, literally after I had so many cars trying to pull up on me, I had like souped up WRXs and like F-150s just pulling up on me, bro. Like, it was messed up. I was like, damn, y'all. I was like, everybody wants them tonight, It was insane. But I just knew I had to call it a night after that, because it wasn't even necessarily that battle. It was the run that made me feel so much better. And literally yesterday, that same day, was when we got the gold run on Find Your Groove in Need for Speed 15 on the drift event. And so, like, it just goes to show all the practice and effort that we put in on the daily. Oh crap, I forgot to fix the webcam, guys. Sorry. I'm over here chatting and looking chopped. There we go. And yeah, I think that would pretty much be like where we're at in season 3. Would it be like a halfway thing? I'm not sure. But yeah, that thing was debadged, man. I couldn't tell what it was. And the only one it had was the one on the front, so I don't think it was a Brabus. It's probably just a regular.